There are things that only after walking through long, bitter winters does one truly begin to understand. That the earth has its own rhythm, and the sky has its own course. Nature is never in a hurry, and it has never once been late. If one goes against the season, the tree will weaken. If one walks against the natural order, the human heart will grow weary. To live in harmony with the season is not to be slow. To live in harmony with the season is endurance, like the steady hoofbeats of horses carrying victory home. The garden after Tet. After the bustling days of Tet, I still keep the habit of stepping out into the yard, to look at the garden, to look at the trees I cherish. In the final days of winter, and the days leading up to Tet, every member of the family was busy pruning, shaping, and preparing the trees. But now, the season has changed. The new year has arrived. Spring has returned upon the branches. Tender green buds have begun to unfurl, and my heart feels quietly at ease. My homeland, a village in the northern countryside, after welcoming the Lunar New Year, returns to its familiar stillness. The apricot trees have opened their final blossoms. The peach branches by the porch no longer glow in radiant pink. The kumquat pots remain beneath the steps, standing silently, waiting for a new season of care. In the early morning, the first drizzles of spring begin to fall gently. By near noon, a soft sunlight appears. The whole garden seems to awaken. Birds sing lightly around the house. Everything feels calm and peaceful. The words of the elders. The elders used to say, "The first lunar month is the beginning of vital energy. After a long and deep winter, yang energy gradually returns. People may not see this energy, but everyone can feel it. In the daylight stretching a little longer, in the faint warmth resting in the palm of one's hand, in the sound of birds calling to one another on moss-covered tiled roofs of old houses, or fluttering from branch to branch among fruit trees. Heaven and earth do not announce themselves loudly, yet heaven has already begun to move. Spring drizzle and gentle sunlight are the first breaths of that transformation. The drizzle of the first month does not pour heavily. It is only moist enough to soften each layer of soil. Roots drink quietly. Sap rises in silence. And then, from what once seemed like dry and hardened twigs, tiny green leaves begin to appear. Those tender buds are the fresh shoots of spring. In my village, since long ago, whenever spring arrives, my father would look at the trees and speak to us about the coming year's harvest. With years of experience, he did not always need a weather forecast. He would look at the trees, look at the buds, whether they emerged evenly or sparsely, look at the color of the leaves, deep or pale, and from that, he could sense whether the year ahead would be favorable or difficult, whether the crops would flourish or falter. This was not superstition. It was because nearly an entire lifetime had been lived with soil and trees. People like my father understood that. Trees do not know how to lie, for the tender bud is the answer of heaven and earth. Feng shui, the garden. The harmony between a house, its garden, its trees and fruits, and a peaceful human heart, that is feng shui. It is in tune when the sky shifts its energy, when the earth opens itself, and when the trees respond by sending forth tender green shoots. Human beings observe and adjust. It is a circle between heaven, earth, and humanity. To live in harmony with the season is feng shui. It is not the tree that brings fortune to people. It is care, patience, understanding. These are what create prosperity and blessings for a family. Every spring, people often say, "Let us gather the first buds of the year." But in the ornamental gardens of my homeland, Bak Thuan Garden Village, Vutu, Tai Bin, buds here are not something to pluck away. They are something to protect. A tiny green shoot contains within it the entire cycle of heaven and earth. When heaven and earth are warm enough, and when humans are patient enough. When all three meet in harmony, prosperity naturally overflows. And reality has shown that flowers may fall, the old season may pass, but the current of life flows on in silence. And do you ever think as I do, when the garden is green, the human heart is also at peace? Life resumes its rhythm. Today, on a morning when the scent of Tet is no longer distinct, the village road is more crowded. Everything seems to have returned to its ordinary work. Only the human heart has not quite caught up. Just a few days ago, the house was still full. Relatives, children, laughter everywhere. Now each person returns to their own direction. My grandchildren have gone back to their university halls. My brothers and friends have left home for Hanoi and other provinces to work. Somewhere, shops reopen. Businesses begin their first sales of the year. Workers return to factories, and garden keepers are a little more at ease, for the pruning, the fertilizing, the tending done before the year's end has already prepared the trees. Now in spring, they simply nurture gently as the trees begin to send out fresh green shoots. Walking softly in my garden, I suddenly feel a quiet longing rising in my heart. Not spoken, just resting there. Looking at the tender buds trembling lightly in the wind, I come to understand something very simple. No true beginning comes from haste. A tree sends out shoots only when nutrients and weather are in harmony. So does a human being. When the heart is no longer burdened by what is past, when one learns to live in rhythm with heaven and earth, joy appears naturally. The first lunar month, a season of quiet hope. In my small garden, the green shoots continue to grow day by day. When elders in the village visit, they do not call this feng shui. They simply say, "Look at the trees and live." Perhaps that is the deepest philosophy of the first lunar month. After Tet, some people think the tree has finished a season. But those who love trees, who love beauty, will say instead, this is only the beginning. Life is returning. The tree has awakened after a long silent winter. I understand that. Those tender green buds are the most enduring New Year blessing that Mother Nature offers to those who cultivate the garden and cherish harmony with the natural world. For in nature, there is no season that truly ends. There are only cycles of transformation. A tree needs spring rain to send forth new shoots. A human being also needs quiet moments after celebration to begin again. In the garden after Tet, while the spring drizzle still falls gently, the young buds grow in silence, and with them, a new year truly begins. Thank you to those who have stayed until the end of this video, wishing every family health, peace, and growing prosperity in the new year. Please subscribe to see the next video. With my warm regards, and until we meet again.